I stood in our bedroom doorway, watching David fold his dress shirts with the same precise care he applied to everything in his life. My stomach twisted with guilt I didn't want to acknowledge. "I'll miss you so much," I said, and the lie tasted bitter. He looked up, his eyes soft with affection. "It's only 2 weeks, Em. I'll call you every night from Singapore." "I know." I walked over and wrapped my arms around him. "I just hate when you're gone." He kissed my forehead, and I felt like the worst person alive. "I love you. I'll be back before you know it." 3 hours later, his car had barely disappeared down our street when I picked up my phone. My hands shook slightly as I opened the messages from Marcus, 3 weeks of increasingly flirtatious conversations I'd hidden from everyone, especially myself. "He's gone. You can come over tonight," I typed. The reply came instantly. "I'll be there at 8. Can't wait to see you, Emma." I spent the afternoon in a frantic blur, cleaning rooms that were already clean, changing outfits 4 times, applying makeup I never bothered with anymore. Rachel's words from last week kept echoing. "Emma, whatever you think you're missing, it's not worth your marriage." I'd laughed her off then. Now, staring at my reflection, I silenced that warning voice. The doorbell rang at exactly 8 o'clock. When I opened it, Marcus stood there with that same confident smile that had once made me feel like the center of the universe. "You look incredible," he said, stepping inside. We settled on the couch with wine, falling into easy conversation about college days, about the passionate relationship that had ended badly 10 years ago. "You know, I never stopped thinking about you," Marcus said, moving closer. "Seeing your wedding photos online, I realized what I'd lost. Marcus, I'm married." But even as I said it, I didn't pull away. "I know. I just needed to see you one more time. To know if what we had was real or just nostalgia." His hand touched mine. Turns out, it was real. I should have stopped it there. Should have asked him to leave. Instead, I let him kiss me. "You deserve to feel alive, Emma," he whispered against my lips. "You deserve to feel wanted." The words filled some empty space I hadn't known existed. We moved to the bedroom, my bedroom, the one I shared with David, surrounded by our wedding photos. Even as it happened, a voice screamed at me to stop. I ignored it. I chose excitement over loyalty. I chose the biggest mistake of my life. Around midnight, lying there with Marcus asleep beside me, reality crashed down like a wave. What had I done? The thrill evaporated, replaced by crushing nausea. Then I heard the garage door opening. My blood turned to ice. "Marcus, wake up!" I hissed, shaking him violently. "Someone's here." "What?" "I thought your husband." "Just hide." But footsteps were already on the stairs. I heard David humming softly, probably excited about whatever surprise he'd planned. The bedroom door opened. David stood there holding roses, his face bright with anticipation. I watched that expression transform in agonizing slow-motion joy melting into confusion, then devastating comprehension. His eyes moved from me to Marcus to our scattered clothes. The roses slipped from his fingers, petals scattering across the floor like drops of blood. "David." My voice came out strangled. He didn't yell. He didn't rage. He just stood there, his face draining of all color, his whole body beginning to shake. "The Singapore deal closed early," he said quietly, mechanically. "I wanted to surprise you. I was so excited to come home early to my wife." The way he said, "my wife," cut through me like glass. Marcus grabbed his clothes and rushed past David without a word. But David didn't even glance at him. His eyes stayed locked on me, and I watched something die in them, not just our marriage, but something fundamental in his soul. "David, please let me explain." "Explain what, Emma?" His voice cracked. "Explain why my wife is in our bed with another man? Explain why everything I believed about us was a lie?" Tears streamed down my face. "I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I love you, David. Please, don't." He held up his hand, his voice barely a whisper. "Don't say you love me. You don't destroy someone you love." He turned and walked out. I heard him go downstairs, heard the front door close with terrible finality. I sat on that ruined bed and truly understood what I'd done. I called him 17 times that night. He didn't answer. I sent dozens of texts, each more desperate than the last. Nothing. Around 3 in the morning, I heard his car return, but he didn't come inside. I looked out the window and saw him sitting in the driveway, his head on the steering wheel, his shoulders shaking. I'd done that to him. Me. The next morning, he came in only to pack a bag. His eyes were bloodshot, his face hollow. "David, please, can we talk about this? I'll do anything." "There's nothing to talk about," he said flatly. "I'm staying at James's place. My lawyer will contact you." "Lawyer." The word hit me like a physical blow. David. No. Please don't give up on us. It was one mistake. One horrible mistake. He finally looked at me, and the emptiness in his eyes was worse than any anger could have been. One mistake? Emma, you didn't accidentally trip and fall into bed with your ex. You planned this. You waited until I was gone. You brought him into our home, into our bed. You made a choice every step of the way. I know, I whispered. I know I did this. But please, don't we have 5 years worth fighting for? I thought we did, he said softly. But apparently I was the only one who thought that. He left, and I collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Within hours, everyone knew. James called, his voice cold with rage. You're not welcome in this family anymore, Emma. What you did to my brother. James, please. He hung up. Margaret's text came next. I thought you were different. I thought you loved my son. I was wrong about you. When Rachel arrived that evening, she held me while I cried, but I could see the disappointment in her eyes. The following weeks blurred together in agony. David refused all contact. Everything went through his lawyer, Patricia, a stern woman who made her contempt for me crystal clear. At work, I fell apart. My colleague Sophia found me crying in the bathroom one afternoon. Emma, you need help. Take some time off. I can't, Sophia. If I stop working, I'll completely lose it. But I was already losing it. I'd lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks. I couldn't sleep. I'd tried reaching out to Marcus, desperate to understand why I'd done this. But he'd blocked me everywhere. Rachel finally forced me to see a therapist. Dr. Helen Foster listened to my story without judgment, then said something that stopped me cold. You're experiencing consequences, Emma, not victimhood. There's a difference. I know what I did was wrong, I said through tears. But doesn't 5 years of good marriage count for something? Doesn't my remorse matter? Of course it matters, Doctor, Foster said gently. But you can't force someone to forgive you just because you're sorry. David needs to heal in his own way, on his own timeline. That might not include reconciliation. Through Rachel, I heard that David had completely shut down emotionally. Tom, his best friend and business partner, told her David barely spoke anymore, just worked constantly and stared into space. He's not angry, Tom had said. That would almost be better. He's just broken. Those words haunted me. One night, about a month after everything fell apart, I drove to James's house. I needed to see David, to talk face to face. James answered, his face hardening. You have some nerve showing up here. I need to see David. Please, James, just 5 minutes. No, he doesn't want to see you, and I'm not letting you hurt him more than you already have. But then I heard David's voice from inside. It's okay, James. I'll talk to her. David appeared at the door, and my breath caught. He looked terrible, gaunt, with dark circles under his eyes, and exhaustion that went bone deep. We walked to his car in silence and sat in the dark interior, the space between us feeling like an ocean. I'm getting help, I said quickly. I'm seeing a therapist. I'm trying to understand why I did this. How I could hurt you like that. Does it matter why? He interrupted quietly. Does the reason change what happened? Maybe you could understand. I don't want to understand, Emma. I want to go back in time and not come home early that night. I want to still be the fool who believed his wife loved him. His voice broke, and I saw tears on his cheeks. In 5 years of marriage, I'd never seen David cry. Not at his father's funeral, not when he lost his biggest client. Never. I did love you, I sobbed. I do love you. I made the worst mistake of my life, but my love for you was real. Then how? He turned to look at me with devastated eyes. How did you do it? How did you let another man into our bed? Into our life? Into our marriage? How did you erase 5 years of us in one night? I had no answer that would satisfy him. I don't know. I was stupid, selfish, caught up in some fantasy of who I used to be. But David, I would do anything to take it back. Anything. He stared out the windshield for a long time. I saw Dr. Foster too. She's helping me process this. That's good, I said, desperately hopeful. Maybe if we both get help we could. I'm not trying to save our marriage, Emma. I'm trying to accept that it's over. Please don't say that. We can rebuild. Couples survive infidelity. Maybe some couples do, he said. But I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see you with him. In our bed. In our home. I can't unsee it, Emma. I've tried. God knows I've tried because part of me still... He stopped, his jaw clenching. Part of you still what? I asked desperately. It doesn't matter, he said. What matters is I can't trust you anymore. And without trust, what do we have? Nothing. We had nothing. 2 months after that night, I got a Facebook message from a stranger, Linda Reynolds. I think we need to talk. It's about Marcus. We met at a coffee shop. She was beautiful, confident, and looked strangely familiar. I'm Marcus's wife, she said. My world tilted. Wife? Marcus is married? For 3 years. And you're not the first woman he's done this with. You're just the latest. She showed me screenshots other women Marcus had contacted, seduced, discarded. It was a pattern, a sick game. He targeted you specifically, Linda explained. He saw your wedding photos online, saw you had a good marriage. That's what he likes, ruining something pure. I felt sick. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm divorcing him. And I wanted you to know that you weren't special to him. You were just a conquest. I tried telling David about Marcus's manipulation, hoping it might change something. Does it matter, Emma? He said, looking tired. You still made the choice. He didn't force you. He was right. Marcus might have manipulated circumstances, but I'd still chosen betrayal. No amount of manipulation absolved me of that responsibility. The divorce papers arrived 3 months after that night. I signed them with shaking hands, tears blotting the ink. Rachel held my hand. You'll get through this, but I wasn't sure I wanted to. The guilt was consuming me from the inside out. I heard through mutual friends that David was struggling badly. He'd been in a minor car accident because he was so distracted. He'd lost a major client. Margaret was worried sick about him. Knowing I'd caused his spiral made the guilt unbearable. I started drinking heavily, sometimes not leaving my apartment for days. I'd stopped seeing Dr. Foster, stopped going to work consistently. Sophia came by one evening, shocked by my state. Emma, you need help. This isn't healthy. Neither is what I did to David, I said bitterly. One night, about 4 months after everything fell apart, I hit rock bottom. I'd drunk an entire bottle of wine and was staring at old wedding photos, sobbing. I sent David a long, rambling message about how I'd never forgive myself, how I woke up every day hating myself for what I'd done to him. For once, he responded, I know you're sorry, Emma. I believe that you regret it. But sorry doesn't undo what happened. Sorry doesn't give me back the man I was before I walked through that door. I'm in therapy trying to rebuild myself from scratch. You need to do the same. Stop apologizing to me and start working on why you did this. Not for us, there is no us anymore. Do it for yourself, so you don't hurt someone else the way you hurt me. His message, though painful, was the wake-up call I needed. I went back to Dr. Foster and did the real work this time. We explored my childhood need for attention, my fear of becoming boring, my tendency to self-sabotage when things were good. You can't change what you did, Dr. Foster said. But you can change who you are, moving forward. That's where your focus needs to be. I took a leave of absence from work, checked myself into an intensive therapy program for a month. I stopped drinking, started exercising, slowly began rebuilding some sense of self-worth. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I saw David at a mutual friend's event. I almost left immediately, but Rachel squeezed my hand. You can do this. He looked better, healthier, though there was still a sadness in his eyes that hadn't been there before I'd hurt him. When our eyes met, I gave a small nod of acknowledgement, then looked away, giving him space. Later, he approached me. Hi, Emma. Hi, I said softly. Thanks. You too. There was an awkward pause. I heard you did an intensive therapy program. That's good. I needed it, I admitted. I needed to understand why I destroyed the best thing in my life. He was quiet for a moment. I'm dating someone. It hurt, but I managed a genuine smile. That's really good, David. You deserve to be happy. So do you? He said, surprising me. What I mean is, I've done a lot of work in therapy. I don't hate you, Emma. I did for a while, but I don't anymore. What you did was terrible, and it broke something in me that I'm still rebuilding. But hating you was just keeping me trapped in that night. Tears filled my eyes. I know I destroyed us. I know sorry isn't enough. But I want you to know I'm different now. Not for you, I know we're done. But for me. So I never hurt anyone like that again. He nodded. That's all we can do, right? Try to be better than we were. It wasn't forgiveness. Not exactly. But it was something acknowledgement that we were both moving forward. A year after that night, I'd rebuilt a small, quiet life. New apartment, a job I was engaged with, a therapy routine that kept me grounded. Rachel and Sophia remained my friends. They'd seen me at my worst and loved me anyway. I'd accepted that some people would always know me as the woman who cheated on David. Margaret would never speak to me again. James blocked me on all social media. I carried that reputation like a scar I'd earned. I'd started volunteering at a crisis center, helping other women work through their issues. My own failure made me better at helping others see theirs before they made irreversible choices. You really get it, one woman told me after I'd talked her down from meeting with her ex behind her husband's back. You understand the temptation. I do, I said. And I understand the cost. Trust me. Whatever thrill you think you'll get, it's not worth what you'll lose. I still thought about David sometimes. I heard through the grapevine that he'd gotten engaged to someone named Jessica. The news hurt. But I was genuinely happy for him. He deserved love with someone who wouldn't betray him. Dr. Foster told me I'd turned a corner. You've stopped seeking forgiveness and started seeking growth. That's significant. But I knew I'd never fully forgive myself. Some mistakes you just have to live with. Let them reshape you into someone better. Someone who understands the weight of their choices. Late one night, I wrote a final message to David that I never sent. I hope you're happy. I hope Jessica treats your heart with the care I failed to show. I hope you've healed from what I did to you. I'm different now, too late for us, but not too late for my own life. I'll carry what I did forever. Let it remind me to be better, to choose loyalty over excitement, to appreciate what I have before I destroy it. Thank you for the 5 good years. I'm sorry for the one terrible night. I hope someday the good memories outweigh the bad for you. I deleted the draft. He didn't need my words anymore. He had his own life, his own healing, his own future. And I had mine smaller, lonelier, but built on honest foundations this time. Some betrayals can't be forgiven, only learned from. I was learning.